A small passenger plane was launched in the Gulf, which was taken by the Americans. At that time, a passenger was assigned to a flight attendant who had to change the route of the flight. Flight attendant was told that the actual route was very bad, so the pilot had to take the route on the ground. And now the flight was sent to the Amazon, where there were only 8 passengers on this flight, so they had to take a lot of precautions. But after a while, the whole flight started to connect. The pilot was locked up and the plane was shut down by the GPS system. The pilot was not responsible for the control panel. The pilot was trying to make a decision with the drone to the base station, but the decision was made because the radio communication system was shut down. But the most amazing thing was that the pilot, who knew what was going on from the beginning, was in a bad state. He was recording a video on his phone. In front of the plane, at some point, he said in that video that he was very likely to be in a bad state, when he saw that there was a possibility that he could have a serious accident. Now, the plane was starting to get down from the ground. The forest in front and the high mountains in front were visible. The pilot was using the drone to test the condition of the plane. Banhura, if you have any idea about FIFA, then convert it to real time. Use my promo code BEA777 by clicking the registration button on the game. After a few kilometers, the crash effect was reduced. The plane was in a bad state. The plane was in a bad condition. But the flight attendant, who was on the seatbelt, was killed by 3 accidents. Now, the flight attendant was scared and started fighting with the same operation. Now, what was he going to do? First, he decided to put on the flight attendant's arm and put on the seatbelt. Then the 2 flight attendants were looking at the pilot in the cockpit, but the view of the plane was so beautiful. A big branch of the plane was going to the pilot's room. Then, they were not able to see. The 2 flight attendants were slowly setting the seat. The pilot could not control the plane. The plane was very scared and started fighting. The flight attendant was very scared and started fighting. Because if the plane was completely destroyed, the rescue team would not be able to stop it. After that, the situation was a bit calm. Now, the 8 flight attendants were sitting together and fighting. After the route changed, they were very worried about the Amazon. There was no signal from the phone. This huge jungle was filled with satellite phones, and the people were very worried about the situation outside. The people were very worried about the situation outside. The biggest problem was that they were not aware of the situation outside. They were not aware of the situation outside. Then, a person named Jack in the jet was going to the airport. He said that if everyone was on the same plane, then he could not control the situation. Jack was going to the airport to find out that he was an insurance investigator. He was going to America after a case. Then, the second flight attendant was Kevin. He was a doctor. The doctor was going to the flight attendant to find out that his vocal cord was damaged. He could not speak, but there were only 3 people who could have come out of the airport, so that they could save some people. Then, the third flight attendant was Christy. He said that he liked his favorite song, but when he was in a relationship with his girlfriend, he was a little bit upset. He was a wrestler. He lived in Mexico. He was going to America in the context of a fighting. Then, a young lady was going to the airport. Her name was Danny and Amy. Her husband was married to her. She was going to America for her honeymoon. She was going to a young lady, David and Lisa. She was going to a small city in the U.S., but she was going to the hospital for David's heart surgery. So, there was nothing to worry about. Now, the pilot was with her. He was not in a situation to talk. Then, Jack was told that he was going to take all the food and water from the hospital and run away from the ration, so that he could understand how many days he could have been in the hospital. He checked and found out that the food and water could last for 3 days. Jack said that if he was in a fight with Christy, he could have been in a fight with him. So the flight attendant's body had to keep the food and water away from the hospital so that he could go inside the hospital. He did all these small things. Now, he was asking the whole world to get out of here. Now, Jack and the rest of the pilots went to the hospital to find out if there was any satellite phone or if he could have been able to find out that he was in a fight with the pilot. He found out that the pilot had gone to the jungle by the route of the cannon. He had to leave some bad news and crash the plane. The pilot was a lie.